On today's PMEA's Take Note podcast, we are speaking with Pennsylvania Senator Carolyn Comitta about her support of arts education. Hi everyone, I'm Mark and today we are talking with Pennsylvania Senator Carolyn Comitta, herself a former educator and as a strong supporter of arts education. Here is our full conversation with her. Senator Comitta, thank you for joining us to talk about arts education and to kind of ramp up our membership as they prepare to advocate for music education. Thanks for being here.
Oh, thank you for inviting me. I'm delighted to be with you.
So you are a champion of arts education, offered a resolution, kind of spearheaded that in the Senate, which we certainly appreciate because it brings attention to music education and all areas of arts education. Yes. If you could talk to us about, why do you have that passion for music and arts education?
Well, because I grew up as a student with music and the arts as a part of my curriculum at Fernhill Elementary School in Westchester. And I started in third grade playing violin and was very proud that I was accepted to be a violin player because I was told you had to have a very good ear.
Right.
So, and then fun fact, I was the concert mistress for the Westchester Elementary School Orchestra.
Okay.
Which is really, again, a big confidence boost, right? And then I moved to Downingtown and I became a member of the marching band. And my three best friends who were also in concert choir, and can I say those three best friends are my best high school friends today.
Yeah.
50 years later, we just celebrated our 50th. And so the band director said, well, we have 2 trombones and 2 sousaphones available in the band. We were juniors. And so we pulled, picked straws, picked instruments out of a hat, and I got the sousaphone. So, and I also played piano for my own pleasure. And I will tell you to today, these are continuing difficult times. And I will say to myself, go play the piano. And I will sit down and play the piano. So I know personally, and my children were also, and also theater was a big part of my childhood and my children's. So I see the joy, I see the strength and the friendships and the connections and the skills, quite frankly, that I learned and that my children learned and that my students learned. I taught in Octorara in a program for gifted and talented students, and we incorporated a lot of the arts in that program as well.
So
and also, I must tell you, Mark, and then as living in Westchester, near Westchester University, and wanting to continue supporting the arts, my husband and I have hosted, I don't know how many, I'm going to say over a dozen music students from Westchester University so that I can fill our house with music, but I also wanted to support international students in need while they pursued their education, in this case, in music at Westchester. So it continues to be an important part of my life. And art, I have student art and adult art at my district office from Westchester artists over the years. And so I like to surround myself with that beauty and that joy and spirit as well.
what I really appreciate about this is that you don't just say it, you do it. You walk the walk.
I live it.
Yeah, I love that. But I think the big scoop is, how do we get a picture of you in the high school band wearing the sousaphone?
Play. I'll do it. I
All
will do
right.
it. Absolutely.
All right, I want to see that.
Oh, yes. Well, and I have played tuba Christmas. It's been a while, but in the city of Lancaster.
Okay.
And it was the sound of the tubas, the euphonium. I don't know there's it's not only tubas, but
Right.
oh, gorgeous,
Yeah.
gorgeous. Yes, gives me chills just thinking about it.
So, I mean, I love that then this message, underlying message of lifelong music making and music appreciation is what we all can get out of a scholastic music participation.
Yes.
And that's important for administrators to remember.
Oh my goodness, yes. And the the connection between music and math. There are all the studies on that. Also, some studies on the effects, positive effects of music on seniors, particularly seniors with dementia, and how that is helping them exercise their brains, continue to be able to communicate more effectively. It's very powerful. And also all of the mental health, as well as academic support. As I said, I go to the piano. I'm better at the piano at this point than I am at violin or the tuba, or sousaphone, I'm sure. And I can just sit down at my piano and pull out one of my favorite pieces and sort of play it. I'm also really good with hymns from back in the day. But yes, it's important for administrators to know that music, the arts, theater, the whole package of the arts is not the icing on the cake. It is a very important ingredient in the cake. And our young people are suffering, our teachers as well, our parents, everyone, from a long pandemic, and hopefully we're moving out of it, but we have the effects of it that we are living with, and we will be living with, and we're helping our young people to really use they have an innate resilience, but we need to nurture them as they are navigating some of the most difficult time. And you add on top of the pandemic, their deep concerns about the climate crisis. And now we see, heart-breaking, terrifying scenes in Ukraine. And so having a way to soothe one's soul, and either alone or with others, if you're in chorus or band or theater, that is something that you only get through the arts. And and lifting one's spirit and taking good care of oneself from a mental health and a physical health standpoint sets the stage for success in all of the academic subjects. It also, the process of creating music, fine arts, theater, is developing problem-solving skills and analysis and synthesis, the higher level Bloom's taxonomy thinking skills that are so important for success in academics. So the arts do this in a way that nothing else does. So complements the entire student's life, mental health, physical health, and clearly supports the academics.
So all these music and arts educators out there right now have just, kind of been through the ringer in the past couple of years. Every educator has, creatively thinking of how do you engage students maybe over Zoom, and then when they are back in person, if they are masked, that's an additional hurdle at some point.
Yeah.
I'm just curious, as we're kind of moving back to this normal, and you're speaking as a former educator, as a policymaker, what are your thoughts to educators, is all kind of maybe that shot in the arm too, of like, okay, you can do this is, or what are your just general thoughts to them, I guess?
Well, I would say you've already done some of the most difficult teaching that we have ever experienced in the world, from one day being in a classroom to the next day being online. So difficult for the teachers and so difficult for the students and the parents. But what we saw is that all of our teachers became very creative. But in the arts, we had outdoor concerts. We had, I saw some beautiful school performances with all of the faces of the students in a Zoom, and creating beautiful music, and art shows online, and music in the parks. So when we needed to all be outside. So I would say to all of the music educators, you bring, first of all, a love of your subject matter, which is infectious to your students. And your smile and your personal joy is going to be nurturing for your students. And so just remember, the next challenge, the next difficulty, remember all of the amazing things that you have done during the pandemic that I'm sure you never thought you would be doing or could do. And just put that, little extra, pandemic ingenuity hat on, and say, okay, so how can I use what I learned during the pandemic that I can, if I can't go straight ahead, I'm going to go out for a pass. I'm going to, instead of, I'm going to go to the coda, I'm going to go back again to the beginning, or I'm just going to skip to the end, whatever it is. Just remember how beautifully you were able to surmount the impossible during the pandemic, and just remember and just say, all right, I did that, I got this. And engage your students, of course. Your students, I remember as a teacher, I would often do things like, if I wasn't sure how to handle something, I would ask my students, well, what do you think? You just went through a pandemic. We went through this together. How can we surmount this next difficulty? And then that gives them, as I said before, the confidence, empowers them, builds their agency, and their personal power.
Yeah, I love that perspective. So I kind of maybe building off of that, part of what we're here doing is going to folks like you who are policymakers and advocating for certain things as related to music and arts education. And so we're here doing that at the state level, but educators kind of have to do that on a daily basis, to administrators, even to parents. You're always kind of doing that advocacy work. As somebody who is on the receiving end of that a lot,
Yes,
from every imaginable thing, what's your advice to those of us who are advocating for arts education, for effective ways to get the message across to anyone who's a decision maker?
yeah. Well, I think you excuse me, tell your story and keep repeating your story, and all of your successes. Remember that people generally need to hear things about 7 times before it actually sinks in. So if you don't feel like you were heard the first time, don't give up. Patience and perseverance lead the way to for actually finding a solution and moving forward. I jotted down a couple of statistics that I think are really important for school boards to hear, for administrators to hear, for parents to hear, for taxpayers to hear, and legislators. So the benefits in academic, social, and emotional outcomes for students engaged in the arts. Just a couple of statistics. Students who took 4 years of art classes in high school scored an average of 92 points higher on their SATs than their peers. That's a lot of points. Students with high levels of arts involvement are more likely to stay in school, less likely to drop out. And there are specific, details and numbers on that you can add. And then disadvantaged students who receive an arts education are 3 times more likely to earn a bachelor's degree than those students who had no arts education experience. Also, some of the anecdotal kinds of things that we see, studies show that students who are engaged in the arts has a positive impact on discipline, test scores across the board, and personal skills like compassion and empathy, which, are the fundamental skills that we want each of our students to develop. Teamwork, problem solving, creativity, not only in solving the problem or creating something in the arts, but the skills that are developed are then easily applied, because you have developed those mental, intellectual abilities, and they can be applied anywhere. So, mental health, wellness in general, academics, interpersonal relationships, friendships, as I said, and joy. The art, as I said, when I get when I'm feeling particularly stressed or perhaps overwhelmed, I'll go to the piano. And I've done that since I started learning to play when I was in 7th grade. Go home from school, tough day, play the piano, half hour, sing at the top of my lungs. I felt great by the time I was done. So we know that the arts are good for helping to reduce anxiety, depression, which unfortunately we are seeing our students, our teachers, our parents, our neighbors suffering at higher levels than we have seen, for all the obvious reasons. People have good reasons to be stressed out, and we need skills and techniques, mindfulness, and listening to music, and looking at art. Creating music and creating art. Not everyone creates, many appreciate.
Right.
But the benefits are so real.
Right. So I love that you've helped lay out the kind of the advocacy formula. So you're reinforcing it. Tell your story.
Yeah.
Support it with facts. And then now is the part, where I come in and ask what you want.
Yes.
So
yes.
It's those 3 pieces.
Yes. And let me add something else, Mark. Build a coalition. So, and I said teachers, administrators, parents, taxpayers, legislators. But, for example, I'm inviting several the choral groups to the Capitol during next week, actually, for music and arts education month in Pennsylvania, and they're going to be performing. And so everyone in the Capitol will hear them. And then I will introduce the students during the Senate opening ceremonies, and they will be recognized by all of the senators. Senators will either hear them in the rotunda or they will see them in the Senate on the floor. And so we have a chance to raise awareness there. Also doing performances at senior centers or in public parks. Our courthouse steps is a popular place. Being a part of ceremonies, celebrations, parades. Whenever I'm in a parade, I always make sure that I position myself right behind one of the marching bands so I can see the students, be with the students, and just be filled with that music in my ears. And also when you're right next to a marching band, I mean, it fills your whole body.
Yeah, for sure. So I appreciate all of your comments today and all that you've shared and the work that you have done. I'm particularly excited that I learned this fun fact that you played the sousaphone and marching band, and I will not rest until I see a picture of this.
Okay,
well,
we must get one
yes.
to you.
Yes.
And can I say that was back in the day when the sousaphones were brass.
Yeah.
They were not fiberglass.
No fiberglass. Yeah.
No. And on a windy day, it was challenging.
Yep. No, I taught marching band for a while. I know.
Oh, you know.
I know what that's like for those kids doing that. That's why I played the clarinet. I didn't have to worry about it.
I was so proud of myself. And when I brought the sousaphone, I was allowed to bring this. Well, I was told, take the sousaphone home. You get the chair that it sits in, and then you climb into it and practice. My mother had me put the sousaphone in the barn. She said, "This is not coming in the house." So I learned my first notes in our barn. Yes.
Well,
and I think it probably sounded like an elephant in there or something.
Well, with all the echoing, yeah,
I was proud.
Yeah. Well, as well you should be, and this is a message out there for students in Pennsylvania, sousaphone players, violin players, piano players. You too can become a state senator. Yeah. You have
yes,
prerequisites.
Indeed.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Senator Carolyn Comitta, thank you so much for taking some time to talk with us and all of our viewers today.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And I wish everyone all the best. Take good care of yourselves. I know you're taking good care of your students. And be dazzled and find joy every day. And thank you for helping our students be dazzled and find joy through the arts.
And thank you for doing your part to make sure they're recognized. We appreciate that.
Thank you.
Our thanks again to Senator Comitta for joining us and for her continued support of arts education. And to all of you, thanks for joining us on PMEA's Take Note podcast, presented by the Slippery Rock University Music Department.